The night Marcus decided to quit, it was raining. Not that dramatic movie rain, just a steady, cold drizzle soaking through his hoodie as he sat on the steps outside his small apartment, staring at his phone. Another rejection email. Another, "We regret to inform you." He laughed a little. "Maybe they're right," he muttered. "Maybe this just isn't for me." He'd been building his business for 3 years. 3 years of late nights, of doubt, of watching everyone else sprint ahead while he crawled. And tonight, crawling felt pointless. He thought about that Thomas Edison quote he once taped to his wall. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. He walked inside and tore the quote off the wall, holding it in his hands. "How close?" he whispered. "How close am I?" No answer came. Just silence, and that's the hardest part, isn't it? No mile markers. No sign that says, 2 more steps and you've made it. Just fog. Just faith. He sat at his kitchen table, staring at a notebook filled with plans, half-finished ideas, and scratched-out dreams. He thought success was supposed to feel like progress. Instead, it felt like hanging from a cliff by his fingertips. But maybe that was the point. Maybe success wasn't fireworks. Maybe it was just sheer will. Maybe it was simply hanging on when everyone else would let go. He exhaled slowly. The path to becoming who he wanted to be was simple. Build discipline, improve his craft. Show up daily. Add value. Simple, but not easy. Simple meant the path was clear. Easy meant it required no effort. And nothing about this was easy. Marcus flipped to a blank page and wrote one sentence. 1% better tomorrow. He didn't need to conquer the mountain. He just needed one more step. Life isn't an elevator. It's a staircase. And lately, he'd been waiting for comfort before climbing. Waiting for certainty. Waiting for applause. But staircases require motion. He remembered something he once heard. You have to thrust yourself into discomfort, so the old ceiling becomes the new floor. That line haunted him. If he stayed where he was, this level of doubt, this level of income, this level of skill, it would remain his limit. But if he forced himself upward, if he endured the chaos of growth, today's ceiling would become tomorrow's floor. He realized he'd been a spectator in his own life watching others win, scrolling their victories, analyzing their moves from the sidelines, critiquing, comparing, hesitating. Spectators feel safe. Drivers feel fear. But you can only go so far being the spectator of your own journey. At some point, you have to get behind the wheel. Marcus stood up again, this time with intention. He opened his laptop not to scroll, not to compare, but to create. He sent one more proposal, then another. He revised his offer, improved his pitch. Not dramatically, just 1% better. Midnight came and went. The rain stopped. By 2 a.m., nothing magical had happened. No sudden success, no breakthrough email. But something had shifted. He wasn't quitting tonight. Weeks passed. Progress was slow, painfully slow. There were still rejections, still silence, still doubt whispering at 2 a.m., but he kept hanging on. Not with explosive intensity, but with consistency. He stopped chasing motivation and started building momentum. He treated every day like another stair. Some days were steep. Some days cracked beneath his feet, but he climbed anyway. One afternoon, months later, an email arrived. A yes, not a massive contract, not life-changing money. But proof. Proof that the staircase led somewhere. He didn't celebrate wildly. He just smiled a quiet, knowing smile. He almost walked away. He almost let 3 years of effort justify quitting. But he didn't stay because of the time spent. He stayed because the path still aligned with who he wanted to become. There's a difference. Months turned into a year. That small yes became several. Those became momentum. Momentum became income. Income became freedom. One evening, standing in a larger apartment with bigger windows, Marcus thought back to the rain. Success hadn't come in a lightning strike. It came quietly, disguised as stubbornness. It came as hanging on when quitting felt reasonable. The finish line was never a single moment. It was the version of himself forged in the climb. The world would never know how close he was to giving up, but he would. And that's what made the victory his. Because success, he now understood, is not about speed. It's about staying. It's about choosing the driver's seat when the passenger seat feels safer. It's about walking away from what shrinks you and doubling down on what grows you. Most of all, it's about hanging on just a little longer than everyone else. And sometimes that's all it takes. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join the journey. We'll see you in the next one.